Greetings, this is Nobbler, and today we'll be looking at the video game Adore, an early access game that's available on Steam. This video will show you the introduction to the game, starting a new game, and what it looks like. We're going to skip past the stories and just simply go right into the content. To summarize though, you wake up and you're in a village of people who can summon beasts, and you had a dream or a vision quest with an ancient entity that has asked you to save the land, essentially. And nobody really believes that that's quite what happened. So we're just going to skip through this. Like I said, this is something that I'm not going to show in this video, so if you are interested in reading through the storyline, I'd recommend that you just check out this game, so that way you could spend the time to watch the cutscene at the beginning and all of the narratives that come along with the game. So you can see right here, we're in a top-down third-person view. You cannot adjust the camera angle, and your character basically runs around. You can do this roll, which will knock over these drums, barrels, ceramic pots. And when they knock over, you can sometimes get them to break and find coinage. Coins are a currency, the little gold diamonds in the top right corner here that you use to purchase upgrades and add slots to your character's interface. Up at the top of the screen, we've got this creature, black mist swirling around it, beady red eyes, some sort of a forest creature. And when I hold down the middle mouse button, mouse button 3, I guess. What I have to try to do is stay in the arc, or on the side of the creature where the arc exists. Each creature will have sort of like a zone that you have to stay in, a sector that it can be captured from. If you're outside of that wedge shape, then the creature's capture won't be effective. So we've been able to capture this creature, and now that's been automatically added to our hotkey. So when I use the mouse 1 button, that creature goes out, takes a few swings, and then runs back. I can also recall the creature prematurely if I just want to get that first strike, and then call him back. And then each time you summon, you'll notice that the bar underneath the character here, there's 2 little green dashes. Each time I summon uses one of those bars. And when the creature comes back, it, I think, refunds some of that power. So what that was explaining is that you can choose the direction that your creature will attack, so you can choose where to summon it, and then which direction it will attack. So for example, if I want to hide behind this rock, summon my creature out here and make it attack that other creature. It's not necessary to put that much detail into the control. Oftentimes the fights are way too fast and you're not going to be able to really adjust your angle of attack until you've kind of got some flow with the game, until you get those controls down like second nature. In the meanwhile, the creatures will seek out enemies on their own. They will look for the nearest target and kind of just rush those enemies. Oh, some helpful tutorial hints I guess we have to do. There we go. So you'll notice I recalled my creature right before the enemies were able to land their attack. These early creatures are pretty easy to just evade. And different creatures have different attack speeds, different movement speeds, different strength of their attacks, and elemental alignments. You'll be able to see a bit more of that Here it just says if a creature's life goes down to 0, the creature doesn't die, but it starts to take away from the player's life total. So I've got 70 hit points. So if my creature's health was at 0 and then it gets hit, then that life comes out of my life pool, my character's life pool. I'm going to see if I can capture this little bomb squirrel, or whatever it is, bomber rabbit. Oh, but I can't. See right there, the pop-up, not enough particles of Gatordrick. Gatordrick? I don't know how to pronounce those words. So a particle of Gatordrick is above the character's info pane in the top left. You'll see there's 3 little dots. You'll get sort of a soul essence or something to that effect that will allow you to capture a creature. Some of them cost a little more. Like if it's a holy creature or something to that effect, it costs 2. If it's a legendary creature, it costs 3. If it's just a normal creature, it costs 1 of those essences. And so here we just met another player, or another character in the game that says, hey, you know, we have a village of summoners, this is it. We've got a Shrine of the Adorers. This is where you could store creatures. If you wanted to leave them, you can deposit them here, so that way you can only carry 4 creatures with you at a time. If you capture a creature when you've already got 4 in your slots in the bottom center, if you've got 4 creatures in there already and you capture another one during a level, that creature will automatically go to the Shrine of Adorers, assuming that you have room to store them. There is a limited capacity that you can expand using these crystal shards, so unlocking the next slot costs 2 crystal shards. Here you can also see the status of the creature. Say if they were brought to 0 life, that means they become cursed. And so you would put them in the Shrine of Adorers and go play another level and then come back, and when you come back they'll be healed up and back to normal. So the Shrine of Adorers is sort of a storage/recovery point. You've got a storage chest where you can put some of your artifacts, crafting materials, and gemstones. And here is also where you can see your equipped artifacts on the character, which you can see there's 3 slots open, and then you can purchase an additional 3 slots. Those go up in cost as you purchase more. The first one is 2 crystals. You've got a town portal, and this is where you would go to the overworld map to look for dungeons to play. This is your creatures trainer. This is where it's going to prompt you through a quest that teaches you how to use your different characters and synergy. So there's some minor modifications that you can do with every creature. That would include, say if you have a nature creature and a beast element creature, and they could gain abilities that benefit when, say, if you have the beast, the squirrel, is out on the attack, and then you also summon a nature creature, they could give each other a bonus. So I'll explain more of that when I switch over to another character that I've got a little further into the game. This is where food crafting is. And there's one other location in town that you can visit, which is the Artifact Merchant. And they don't exist in this game yet because I have not progressed through the kind of tutorial stages. So basically what the game wants you to do is, I'll just show you how to get this first part started. Run over to this person with the skull helmet. She says a bunch of stuff. Story and lore. Again, if you're interested in the story and lore, I think it's very good. I'm just skipping through it for the interest of saving time in this video. I'm not trying to showcase the story of the game, but rather just to showcase some of the gameplay. So here it kind of explains that wedge. So if I was on the front of this creature, I could capture it, and I don't think it's range limited. If I was on the back side, I would not be able to increase the total capture. Basically, when this green circle inside of the white circle fills up the white circle, then it's captured. So right now in this image you can see that the creature is about 33% captured if you're looking at a constant rate of growth per area, maybe 50%. and it costs 1 of those particles to capture normal creatures. If we scroll down, you can see that it costs 2 for blessed, not holy, but blessed creatures, and super blessed cost 3. So there you go. Alright, so we talked to the person, and now we need to get Gatordrick particles to capture creatures with, so for that we need to go to the map. Here you can see that the more advanced levels are locked. So we'll check Gatordrick depth. Now we've got 4 quests that we could run. On the left-hand side, we've got these 4 circles to select our objective. One of the maps says eliminate all the cursed creatures. We get 1 key. In the treasure chest that these unlock, you will find another creature, sometimes a rare one, and usually some gold. Mushrooms are kind of an awesome thing you can feed your pets, and so long as you don't feed them anything else, they will get that benefit for good. So like the wild mushroom gives them +1 accuracy. And there will be a little more info on that a bit later in the video. And meat, which can be used to heal. Now, say if you had a creature that had eaten a wild mushroom and received the benefits in green, like +1 accurate or +1 lone, and then later you feed them a small meat, it takes out the old buff. It wipes that clean, and they don't have any buffs because you just use this to heal their health, and the small meat doesn't have any buffs that come with it. You'll notice that this quest also expires in 3 turns, so I can play 3 levels, and by the end of the 3rd level, this quest will disappear from the queue if I don't play it. Here, this one rewards coins. A healing potion isn't something that you can keep in your inventory in this game, it's just something in the world that if you need health, you can use it. And then a bone is crafting stuff. Here we've got wood for crafting and a ladybug, which is another good source of food, and some gold. And the last quest you can see here, 2 particles of Gatordrick. Now if there was a chest in a level, it would tell you in this preview, like here we have a key, any level that has a chest in it would show you what kind of a chest it has. So, without further ado, we're just going to switch over to the higher level account that I have already played a little bit into this game. And this way you can see some of the different characters in town and what sort of resources exist, as well as some different creatures. And that could help you decide if you are interested in playing this game. They've just had a pretty big update on July 29th, and that update is called the Sandstorm update, adding more creatures and more maps. So there is quite a bit of content. Again, it is early release, so you might see a different experience than what's in this video based off of the time of your play compared to when this video is recorded. So here I've got another character. You can see in the top left they've got 3 essences saved up. They've got an icon from one of the artifacts that my character has. And so let's look at the Adorer. That's the kind of the class title for the characters that you have, and right now you play as Luca. Or Luca. I'm not sure how that would be pronounced. I say Luca. It sounds good to me. I've got 4 artifacts equipped. Each of those give a static benefit to the character, and this one is sort of an accumulative triggered. When a nature creature kills an enemy, the pipe charges, and when fully charged, heals the Adorer in 2. And I'm not sure what that means, heals in 2. But yeah, there it is. You also have equipment, so you can get upgrades to your primary weapon, and I'm sure this is an area that the content developers are refining and adding more to as the game gets closer to its final cut. So I've got just basically a lot of the basic stuff. In the consumables tab, you can see that I've got some materials to craft food with, but it also shows you the buffs that currently exist on your character. So like Kruth, he will keep these buffs, the critical attack, maximum health, and evasion stat buffs, for so long as I don't feed Kruth any other food. And when you select the food, you can then select a character to feed it to, including your main Luca character. So for example, I'll feed him some small meat. Num 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 num. And if you needed health, he would have regained 20% of his health. So since he's got 100 hit points, that would have been 20 points of life. Now you can also see the creatures that are in your inventory and the synergy that they have. So it's color-coded. You'll notice that beasts are brown, nature creatures are in green. And here with Zaya, the healing empowerment. Every time the Adorer is healed, Zaya receives bonus damage, 25%, and it's got a couple of grade numbers, so you can actually improve the level of the synergy effect as you progress these creatures by level, and you get resources in the game to do that. It costs essences. Right now I've got 3 beast essences, and I think that the bigger bars below represent higher quality beast essence or nature essence or other. There's arcane and other elemental forms that creatures can take on. And if you look at this, the Domu creature has a prolonged special that the duration of their special effect is increased by 2 seconds, and since this is brown, that means that if there is a beast in play while Domu is in play, and the Domu uses the special attack, that special attack will last 2 seconds longer. Likewise with Kruth, if you have a nature creature in play while Kruth is in play, Kruth will gain 1 extra bite attack when they go out to attack, and that could be increased up to 3. So that's just an example of the synergies. You can track your quests. You could look at the bestiary for every creature that you have seen and captured in game. So you don't have to keep them all. This isn't like Pokemon, catch them all. I mean, it's like you want to find the ones that work for you. You've got limited storage, and you can only bring 4 into a mission. So you're going to probably spend some time finding and unlocking different creatures and checking out their abilities. And you can see on the right-hand side, it tells you what they do. It will not show you the locked ones, and it will not show you the ones that are unlocked but grayed out. So for example, here's Zaya, the nature deer. Gives you the 360 view. You can click and hold to spin them around to get all the different 360 angles. They have 27 hit points, 0 out of 11 armor, 20 damage. They cost 50 to summon, so that's half of your summoning power, and a speed of 6. Their special attack stuns the target. And these are all base level stats, so this is going to be like you capture them at their base level. Let's take a look at this one. Fellwin is a mystic class creature. You can see they've got, compared to Zaya, less hit points. They move faster though, so instead of speed 6, this one has speed 8. Zaya does 20 damage. Fellwin does 2 damage. When summoned, they create a wind cyclone that knocks back enemies and deals damage. So the reason why the damage is lower is because this creature does an area of effect attack and does it repeatedly in a spin. So you can see there's different styles that each of these creatures have in addition to their different elements. Here you can see that Domu character, when summoned, creates a huge magical area, and when you or any of your creatures are inside of the area, it will heal a percentage of their health. And then, meanwhile, Domu's going to shoot orbs at the enemies. So this is a ranged attack creature. Does kind of medium damage, 7 damage, because it's a single target hit. Average speed of 6, low hit points, but has the ability to heal other creatures and a lower possible max armor. And so, unlocking these creatures in your bestiary, you can see there are a total of 39. I've only found 12 of them so far, because I've really only played through the first zone. And they all have different abilities. Some of them you could ride. So when this creature gets its summoning power to full, when you next summon it, it automatically uses their special abilities. And in this case, the Adorer, your character, will jump on the back of Daros and ride around. It's kind of like a big bull, and it charges enemies and rams them with their horns. Pretty solid damage at 16, good armor at 15, so this is sort of a tanky character, but low hit points for a tank, so this is an armor tank. And it's pretty cool to ride around because you get increased movement speed with the creatures that you can mount and ride. For example, Mumba. Mumba you can jump on and ride around too. The difference is Mumba will kind of do like a tangled root effect, slowing down enemies so they can't move. But if you're still close enough for them to attack you, they will, including if they have ranged attacks. Now, if you need a preview of some of these creatures, there is a place that you can go in town. So over here where that person was with the skull helmet, there's these straw creatures. I don't know what to call them, straw sheep. And you could practice summoning, so let's pull Kruth out. And you can see in the white how much damage on the life bar of the straw animal Kruth was able to do with one round of attacks. And when they're in, look at the bottom center, when you see a creature and they've got a flame wreath around their little icon, that means that their special power is ready. So with Kruth, if I summon him again, he'll start to get his power restored or built back up, so he'll be able to use his special attack. So you can see his attack is sort of like just running out there and hitting several times in a row. 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage. Compared to Zaya, let's summon Zaya out. One big pow that stuns the enemy with her special. So she does 24 damage at level 3. So you can see by comparison, let's do one at each target. So Kruth attacked 6 times, Zaya attacked 1 time. Kruth did 6 to 9 damage with one of his crits. So we'll say 6 damage times 6, so 36 total damage, whereas Zaya did 24 damage. I believe they are, okay, Kruth is level 2, Zaya is level 3. So Kruth would do less total damage if he didn't have that extra attack, thanks to being in play with a nature creature. So Zaya gave Kruth 1 extra attack, otherwise he only does 5. So we'll say Kruth does 30 damage, maybe 25 at level 1, because he does 5 at level 1. Whereas Zaya does 20 damage at level 1. The difference is when Zaya goes out, boom, it's one and done. Zaya comes back, and she is now out of play, so enemies can't attack her. Kruth, now Zaya would have been back out of combat by the time Kruth is done attacking. So Kruth stays out there longer, meaning he oftentimes is more vulnerable to attacks. He will be exposed to more enemies for a longer period of time. So you can check out some of those abilities that they do. Let's do one more synergy here. We're going to summon out Domu and Kruth at the same time. And you see as Kruth is attacking, get that little icon of health going up. And even though Domu has now been summoned back, the effect was still on the ground, the area effect of healing. And you can also see that it triggered, because there was a nature creature in play, it triggered Zaya's special ability of healing empowerment. Because I was healed, I guess, that increased Zaya's damage. So you have to figure out the good balance, because right now with my summoning power I can only summon 2 creatures at a time. It refills quickly. I've got items on my Adore that help that charge rate increase faster, I think. Maybe I haven't bought that one. So there's an item that you can buy that lets you get more of that summoning power recovered quickly, your stamina. So if we come over here to the merchant, this little hairy bearded guy, bald bearded guy, Balden, you can improve your artifacts, modificate the artifacts, or buy artifacts. And so different things are available that give different benefits. So receiving temporary movement speed after dodging. After a dodge, a creature will get bonus damage. And if you've got a lot of gold saved up, you can use that to purchase more shards or keys. So once the shop runs out of artifacts. Now, when you are upgrading things, that costs money too. So if I wanted to improve an artifact, it's going to cost materials, wood, bone, and pearls, and also cost coins. So there's plenty of ways to spend coins. I have never felt like I've had more coins than I needed. In fact, I've usually felt like I need to focus on collecting more coins so I can do the things that I want. And that includes getting food. So here we've got Bellina, and she's going to let us combine food items and create like more elaborate dishes that have combined effects. That's how I got the effects onto my creatures. So just a mushroom, if I cooked just a mushroom, I get mushroom stew. So the mushroom gives a +1 healer effect, and it will create mushroom stew that heals more and also gives a +1 healer effect. It costs 15 coins to cook that. But if I combine that with berries, now I get mushroom stew with fruits. It gives divine protection plus the healer effect and heals now for 35%, but costs twice as much, 30 coins to cook. With the third ingredient, the cost to cook goes up to about 60, I think, and you get all three of the benefits of the foods, but the health increase will continue to increase faster than just the additive value of the foods. Like the mushrooms give you 10, the berries give you 10, so by each on their own, or I'm sorry, the mushrooms give you 15, so each on their own you get 25% health, but when cooked together you get 35%. So you'll probably learn different recipes that you like and prefer to use for your characters. Each of your creatures is going to have like certain abilities that you'll want to focus more onto. So like Domu, for example, has low hit points and low armor. I'm probably not going to give them a lot of benefits to, like, you know, a % increase to their armor would not be as effective because they've got a lower armor total. So if I found some food that gave a percentage increase to armor, that would go onto a creature with higher armor. Now here we've also got Dish of the Day. So just in case you need some food, you can just come here and buy it without needing the ingredients to cook it, and that's pretty cool too. This is a new addition I think they've added into the game since the patch for, what's the name of it? Major Update 11, Sandstorm. So you can see that the developers are very active with the game. Obviously they're interested in getting this to its final product, and it's still really cool to play, even in early development. You know, I look forward to seeing the updates that come out with this game. And here you can see in the map world now, here's some of the differences from that first gameplay that I showed you, where at Tier 1, down at the bottom, there's a scale of difficulty, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. So you'll notice that I can play Gatordrick Forest in Tier 1. In Tier 2, I can play Gatordrick Forest at a higher difficulty, and I can also now access Kiha Mountains. And right now there are 5 zones. You can see on the right-hand side that desert area is part of that new update for Sandstorm that added some new creatures and new map areas to explore. And you'll notice that, say for example in Gatordrick, I've got 2 quests. Both of them require killing the legendary creature Luxar. But if I go back to Tier 1, you actually have a different set of quests. So you can always go back to a lower difficulty to farm up resources. If you need some more coin, if you need some essences, you need some crafting materials, fragments to purchase expanded slots, essences to capture creatures, it's all there. So you can go back and replay earlier content. And I think that's one great feature that they've added to this game that gives it longevity. You know, it's sure a little bit grindy because you need to go farm up this and that so that then you can access some of the higher level stuff. But the idea is that, you know, you've got a lot of content to progress through and new equipment, items, and lore to discover. The story, again, is really cool. I did skip it in this video, but as you go through each of these levels, the main quest, as you can see marked with this exclamation point in the Kiha Mountains, this is where I need to go next to progress my quest. And so you'll get a bit more of that narrative and storyline as you go through those levels. And again, it allows you to preview the rewards of each of the levels that you play through. And it tells you the expiration date So I can play one level before this quest disappears, so if I really needed stones and feathers, I should play this one next. And knowing your areas that you're playing in also will help you to determine which creatures to bring. So if I take a Beast and Nature class into the Kiha Mountains here, we're going to be facing slightly higher level opponents because we are in Tier 2 of the dungeons. And we don't know if they're going to be strong or weak against the elements of the creatures that we have chosen. Here it's got a tooltip. Physical attacks break magic armor, and magic attacks break physical armor. So when you see creatures that have a little yellow shield or a blue shield next to their name, basically it just means that they're harder to kill unless you use the certain damage type. So again, remember I showed you Domu has a ranged attack casting orbs, so Domu has a magical attack and the other two creatures use a physical attack, so we do have what we need. And you'll notice there that Domu took just a little bit of damage by running through that lava. And there you go, pretty basic gameplay. At least when you're fighting these basic enemies, it's not super difficult to time your attacks. Here comes a Kruth, an enemy Kruth. And the most important thing to watch out for is just watching the health level of your creatures. It's very easy to just kind of like leave them out there and let them soak up damage. And then eventually, when they get to 0 health, then that starts affecting your health pool, and so on. If your character's health goes to 0, you can imagine that that means you die. You lose the level. And when you die, you drop your fragments. So I've got 5 fragments right now, some coins, and you'll have to come back and replay this level. It'll give you like 2 turns to replay the level. So you can go find your gear again and recover those dropped consumables. So you're not going to drop like equipment, but you will lose some of your totals of fragments and coins. Now another cool thing about the gameplay here, I've cleared this zone and I just was exploring to see if there was more of those ceramic vases to break. Now I could run through this foggy green area to go to the next zone, or I could just go to the map and you can actually click on these arrows to go to the next panel. So you don't actually need to constantly go running all the way back through the levels. They've implemented just in every level, you have the ability to teleport through. See how long Kruth stays out there? See, he could get a lot of damage taken if he stays out there in a bad situation. So anyway, once we clear this zone, at some point, we're going to have to go back to that first area where we began playing. So once we've cleared this zone that we're in, we could actually just teleport straight back to the next area we need to go to and skip that spot in between. So I think that's great. The developers have considered the player's time in real life when they've developed this game, that it just didn't just make it about some immersive ideology where they wanted to have, everything seem whatever their particular vision of like, this is realistic to us. They actually thought about players and what it means to be playing a game for a certain amount of time and how to best make use of that time. Oh boy. So you see there I was able to use the roll dodge skill to kind of avoid some of those attacks. We've got our feather. So this is how loot appears. When you clear a zone, sometimes, or a creature, the item will drop on the ground. And you actually have to go through and collect these up, and they won't be really in your inventory until you finish the level. And you might have noticed that Kruth took about 50% of his life in damage with that round, and so I was using Domu's healing effect to try to get him some more health. And we'll continue to just keep working those two together to get the health back up. I find that when creatures do get into a tough spot and start taking damage, they usually take a lot of damage. So your creatures will die quickly if you don't have a good synergy set up for their attack combos. Like you need to know when to summon them back. And I missed an opportunity there because sometimes our dear creature, Zaya, will create a healing orb when she kills an enemy who has a 20% chance to drop a healing orb, I think it is. So there it is. When we grab that healing orb, you see it just added health to myself, my character Luca, and then also it added health to all of the creatures that are in the party. And here's the stone. You can pick that up. So again, this is why I've added that benefit of synergy. So there's different ways that I can gain health, or the creatures can gain health, just so I can kind of do more of an endurance style of gameplay. It allows me to take on a little bit higher level content than what my creatures are leveled up to, just to save the time of the grind. I don't know how effective healing will be later in the game, but I guess we'll find out as we play through. And you'll notice it does heal the creatures even if they're not currently out in play. So when the Zaya kills a creature, drops a healing orb, I can pick up that healing orb and it will give the benefit to even creatures that haven't been summoned into play. But I am starting to really feel that 20% limitation there. So we need magic attack to break that armor. There's another stone for us. And it looks like Domu's special power is ready. He's got the flame wreath around his logo. You can see in the center bottom of the screen. So the next time we summon Domu, and I summon another creature with Domu, then every time those creatures deal damage, they're going to heal. So again, let's look at Domu. Nope, that's Moomba. Domu's up towards the top. So Domu's ability is, if any of your creatures are inside of the area when they deal damage, they heal a percentage of their health. And that is just wonderful. Top that with Zaya's ability to possibly drop a healing orb after combat, then those two abilities work very well in synergy. And you'll also think about Kruth, because he attacks multiple times, even though it's sort of low damage per attack. It heals a percentage of Kruth's health with each attack. And so that stacks up pretty quickly too. Now these are special encounters that you have to stand on this platform until all 4 of the fires are triggered. I've got 3 of these mechanisms that I need to activate. So for this one, we're going to use special ability. 1 more to go. And so that was the last zone that we needed to clear. There's no more content, and if I left anything behind, like one of those stones or a feather, I would see an icon on the map so I would know to warp back to that area. Just like here, you can see that there is little icons for where my character is, where the portal is, and so on. So it's very helpful that they've added that to the map too. So here we found the Bond of Fortitude. This is an artifact apparently that I can equip to my character. So you can see that Artifacts even drop in the game world. So we'll have to go equip that once we're back into town. That looks pretty cool. Take a quick look around for any additional coinage that might exist in the map, because that doesn't show on the minimap. You have to just go find these little ceramics. And you don't really have to break all of them. You have, if best I could tell, maybe a 20% chance that a coin will drop out of those barrels. But, you know, it's a difference. Like, I was able to get 137 total coins, had 85 before I started. So we gained about 52 coins with all the barrels that I broke. That might have totaled about another 5 or 10 coins that we got out of the level. It tells you what you get when you complete the level, including any essences you might have gained or captured creatures. So there's your quick preview of what playing through a level looks like, how to acquire the loot, how to travel around the level, how creatures take damage, how synergies kind of look in real gameplay. And I'm certainly not a great player. Like, there's obviously some times in that level where, like, my creatures were taking a lot of damage and I wasn't doing a very good job of calling them back in. There are a couple of times I would say, if I watched this video in review, that I would have to, like, hit that R button to recall them. But you'll notice that now back in town, all of our creatures have full special power, like they've all got the flame wreath going. They're all back to full health, so it automatically heals all of your creatures. We can go into our loot and see that we've gained the feather, and the 2 stones are now in our materials tab. And let's go take a look at that artifact. It's not there. Oh, I guess that was part of the main quest line. That's what that is. So it says to equip the rune at the sanctuary tree. So more of the main quest line there. I don't want to spoil anything in the game. I think we see enough that there was just an item that equipped to progress the quest line from that zone, and so that'll be the next step. It shows in the quest queue, and we could also see that in our quest tab, the bond strengthening runes. And so even though I've cleared through the first tier of the game and I played through that one level of the tier 2, you can see that the game still progresses and evolves abilities as you progress. And so a lot of players like this style, where you start out with sort of a basic skill set. You know, you learn to crawl first, then you start walking, and eventually you're running. So as you play through this game, your skills will progress, and your in-game, like, real-life skills are going to have to kind of keep up, like your ability to summon and manage multiple creatures, the synergies that they have, and apparently now the runes that we can equip to strengthen the bond that you have with certain creatures. Now keep in mind, it would be a good idea to have at least 8 creatures. So I run with 3 of them. The reason why is because if I capture something in the zone, I like to test it while I'm there. It's not like I would lose it. They would come into my shrine here. I've got space for 1 more if I capture one. But you want to set up 2 teams. So if my first team, my main team, like, they get wiped out, but we make it through the level somehow, cool. I can put them into the shrine to heal up if they were cursed, and take out my B team, string 2. And I haven't set mine up yet because I haven't really decided what I like. Some of these creatures, like here is a creature that's able to do 35 damage. They have a charging time. Zarki will charge up this lightning attack and then zot, nukes the enemies for 35 damage. Really powerful, but really slow. You've got other style of creatures, like we saw at the beginning of the game, Mikra. Just runs out there, quickly does a few attacks, speed of 8 is really good, and then runs back in. So Mikra is one of my OG, original gangster beasts. You can see he's already got some extra perks that if he's the only one that's been summoned, he does 20% more damage. So being just a quick hit, get out there, do some damage, get back in. Mikra is really great for your starter pet. Oftentimes when you're fighting through those first tier levels, you just need 1 pet at a time. It's just like Mikra go, Mikra go, Mikra go. And so having that solo buff, the lone buff on Mikra is really good. Here, Grin, I'm not sure how to say that one. I've leveled up a little bit. This is sort of like Grian looks like he's doing some sort of kung fu. Summons an orb of water. It's an arcane base, so a spell damage effect, and it stays in play. Grian stays out there for a long time and just basically swings this orb at range through enemies, so it can hit multiple targets at once. And you have to protect Grian while it's in play. You can't just leave it out there undefended, because the enemies will start to attack him, and he stays out there for a while. Does some good damage, but best to play with synergy, and I haven't figured out a good arcane synergy yet. I haven't got that far into the game. But you can see there's just a variety of creatures to discover, all of them with their special characteristics that really make each player's experience different. So if you want to check out Adorer, I will include a link to the Steam page so you could look into that in the description of this video below. I hope that this video helped you to explore some of the idea of this game. I have not seen a game like this in a very long time. Like, I think some time ago, like back in the days of the PlayStation 2 and the Super Nintendo and all that, there might have been some games of a similar idea, like a very broad idea of like you have a summoner and you capture different kind of creatures, and I'm talking like before Pokemon and all that. But nothing as evolved as this. Like, I really love that there is this dynamic where your character doesn't do the attack. That your character is there as sort of the anchor to a team, that you can evolve that team, that you can create synergies, you can level up that team, and that you also have, static effects to really harness your playstyle. So like me, I focused a lot on healing and recharging. And maybe for you, you want to focus on speed and damage or something else. So there's really a lot to offer. And again, this is just early access, people. I think that's amazing. So when you go check out Adorer, I hope that you'll take your time to see all of that this game has to offer when you play through, and try a couple of different builds. I know I will, and I'm looking forward to advancing to check out that new content that they just released in Sandstorm. I appreciate that you all came here to watch this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.